Hi, my name is Emily Morera, and today I'll be talking to you guys about the dangers and the toxic effects of thermal receipt paper. Um, why should we not touch receipt paper? Why should we actually be afraid of receipt paper? Well, the reason why is because receipt paper is saturated with bisphenol A. It's also called BPA. It's a potent carcinogen and an endocrine disruptor that first gained its infamy as a toxin in plastic bottles and water bottles. And there was actually a study done on thermal receipt paper that shows that 88% of human exposure to this chemical BPA, this chemical bisphenol A, is actually through receipt papers. So that's pretty amazing. 88%, that's a really high number. And when and where do we handle these receipts? So we get receipts pretty much everywhere: supermarkets, ATMs, gas stations, retail stores, even restaurants. Um, so many places. I can't even remember the last time I did not touch a receipt. Um, and how does this chemical enter our body, you may ask? Well, it can enter our body just by touching a receipt, that easy. It goes through our pores and our skin. The skin is the largest organ that we have, and believe it or not, chemicals can still go through it and into our bloodstream. So if you are in slide 4 of my PowerPoint, you'll see a schematic diagram of the transmission of this chemical BPA from thermal receipts to your skin and the food that you eat. And in the diagram, excuse me, um, especially if you use hand sanitizer or various other skin creams, doing so can increase the uptake of BPA 100 fold, 100 times. It's pretty dramatic. If you were to ask me, it's crazy. Worse, if you handle a BPA coated receipt and then eat your food, with the hands that you just touched that receipt, you're then ingesting that BPA. So the next time you go, for example, on a drive-through, if you're eating Chick-fil-A, and grab that receipt and then you start eating your food, yeah, you're ingesting that BPA directly orally. So I highly recommend for you guys to look at the schematic diagram that I provided here on slide 4 so you can see how it enters our bloodstream and it affects our liver and our kidneys. So what does this chemical lead to? What health problems? So exposure to BPA, even on low or short-term doses, is linked to a staggering number of health problems. This includes breast cancer, prostate disease and prostate cancer, obesity, hyperactivity, impaired or altered and compromised immune systems and functions, miscarriages, and also impaired female reproductive development. So if you stop and think about these high cases of cancer and all these children now that are diagnosed with attention deficiency disorder, ADHD, this hyperactivity. I mean, it can be caused by all these chemicals that directly and indirectly are affecting us. So bisphenol A, how it works, it acts as it's been called the fake estrogen. So bisphenol A is a form of a fake estrogen that hijacks your body's endocrine system and makes it go haywire, goes crazy. The end. This dysfunction can lead to devastating issues with fertility, like I said, reproduction, metabolism, immune functioning, sleep, and mood. And studies have linked BPA to over 50 different serious health issues. So it's important to keep in mind the next time that you touch a receipt that there's many consequences that come from it. So BPA as an endocrine disruptor. So what makes BPA an endocrine disruptor is that the presence of the alcohol group on the benzene ring, it's called a phenyl ring, allows BPA to mimic estradiol. And estradiol is something natural that our body we create, men and women. And this phenyl A, which is this toxic chemical, because it has this phenyl ring, it allows it to mimic, and that's how it can hurt us. So, it's, like I said, estradiol is a steroid and estrogen sex hormone, and it's the primary female sex hormone, and is named for its importance in regulation and estrogen and the menstrual cycle in females and our reproductive cycles. And then estradiol is also essential for the development and the maintenance of female tissues, but also it's very important in the formation of bone and other things as well. So it, like I said, as it affects men and women. So while estrogen levels in men are lower compared to women, estrogens have essential functions in men as well. So this natural hormone that we create called estradiol is found in most vertebrates as well as many crustaceans, insects, fish, and other animal species. So just as it's affecting us, it's affecting other species around us, the food that we eat. So even if it's not affecting us directly, the chicken I'm having later for dinner tonight might have traces of BPA in it without me even knowing, because it can also mimic their natural hormone. So how worried should we be about receipts? So the Center for Disease and Control, the CDC, reports that they found BPA in over 90% of urine samples that were taken as a representative of the U.S. population. 90%. I don't know why this hasn't been brought up as much. I've only heard about receipts being toxic a few times, and you would think that they would make a bigger deal about it, but I guess, it's up to us public health students to bring awareness and help in policy formation. So for that reason, that it's been found in over 90% of urine samples that were taken as a representative whole of the United States population, that's why, and the reason why it acts as an endocrine disturber. That's why BPA can be linked to nearly almost every health issue facing our society. So as much as I would like to say that this warning about receipts is a product of overcautiousness, the unfortunate truth is that they do present a very clear danger that cannot be overlooked. So ways that you can protect yourself, you may ask. Well, the easiest way is don't touch receipts. And I know that you are listening to me and be like, well, that's kind of impossible. But nowadays, you can go digital. There's smartphone apps that allow you to take pictures of receipts, or you can input it manually if you're one of those people that, you like to keep track of all your spending or keep track of your receipts. You can opt for digital receipts when available. There's some retailers that offer, hey, would you like your receipt or do you want us to email it to you? So for example, Home Depot does that, Macy's, Nordstrom, Whole Foods, Kmart, Sears, and Gap. These are retailers that I investigated, and they offer. Oh, that's my dog snoring. Sorry. Dex! I don't know if you guys can hear him. He was pretty loud. Anyways, so yeah, Home Depot, Macy's, Nordstrom, Whole Foods, Kmart, Sears, and Gap. A couple stores offer electronic copies sent directly to your email. Um, so a third, it's actually a third or 35% of retailers offer this service of digital receipts, and half of them do so at their stores. And this was a survey of 39,000 retailers that was released earlier this year by a marketing firm called Epsilon. So they actually researched how many retailers offer digital receipts. So that's why you can, those are a couple of ways that you can protect yourself from the toxic chemical BPA found in thermal receipt papers. Also, certain foods and substances can help lower BPA levels in your system. For example, there's a dietary supplement that you'll see on my PowerPoint slide. It's called genistein. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, but if you can find it, Vitamin Shop, any healthy food place, maybe even Walmart, I think they have it. It's a phytoestrogen that helps balance the endocrine system. You can also practice detoxification practices such as exercising, drinking plenty of water just to flush your system out. You can use the sauna, sweat it out. Try to eat detoxifying foods, berries. They have a lot of antioxidants. And like I said, supplements like the genistein. And you can also have teas. A lot of teas are antioxidants. So if you're a tea lover like myself, then you can, just keep drinking more. Or if you're not really into drinking tea, I would highly recommend it if you think about toxic levels that we have in receipt papers. So you can try green tea, black tea, and even white tea. They all have really high levels of antioxidants. Good for your body. So what has the government done regarding this issue? Well, there hasn't been much government intervention as of right now. I just don't think it's very widely known at the moment. So there was actually in January of 2013 a county executive named Steve Bellone of New York made history because he signed the Safer Sales Slip Act, which is a first in the nation ban on thermal receipt paper coated with bisphenol A. So that's one good step that we have made so far. Also, Japan has completely banned the use of thermal receipt papers. They banned it back in 2001. So they definitely took a big step. And in this slide, which is my slide number 13 in my PowerPoint, I included a YouTube link, and it's a very interesting. It's a discussion. It's a small clip. It's only a couple minutes long from YouTube. These presenters were talking about the issue at hand, and I recommend for you guys to just look at the video real quick and listen to what they have to say. So I included the YouTube link on my slide 13. So definitely avoid BPA, but what about BPS? And what is BPS? So BPS is bisphenol S. So instead of it being called bisphenol A, it's called bisphenol S. It's very similar to bisphenol A. In a draft report released in July of 2012, designed for the environment, a research partnership program of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, assessed 19 chemical alternatives to BPA in receipt paper, including bisphenol S. So bisphenol S is another toxic chemical found in receipt paper. And the preliminary report found no clear winners as far as human health and environmental endpoints. So pretty much they're all pretty detrimental to your health. They didn't find one that was better than the other one. They're just all pretty bad for you. So BPA and BPS, like BPA, BPS is also an endocrine disrupting chemical. In a study of human urine, BPS was found in 81% of the samples tested. And this percentage is comparable to BPA, which was found in this sample, in this experiment that they conducted not in 95% of urine samples. So 81% BPS, 95% BPA. Pretty high numbers. I mean, if you were to get an 81 or 95 in your test, you'll be pretty happy. But not in that situation. That's why those high numbers are not good. And what about recycling of thermal paper and receipts? We're trying to save the environment. A lot of papers are just thrown together and recycled. So thermal paper is included in that jumble of papers to be recycled with newspapers and other type of papers. So the recycling of thermal paper can introduce BPS into the cycle of paper production and can cause BPS contamination of other types of paper products. So that's another issue at hand. A recent study showed presence of BPS in more than 70% of the household waste paper samples, potentially indicating spreading of BPS contamination through paper recycling. So yeah, it's pretty devastating, but these are the facts, and we just have to build on, moving forward, better ways to protect ourselves and our environment. BPS is more resistant to environmental degradation than BPA, and although not persistent, cannot be characterized as readily biodegradable. So it lasts longer in our environment, doesn't degrade as fast, and is still as bad as BPA. So you got to take caution. Although these chemicals are found all around us, some action versus no action is better than doing nothing. So I recommend try speaking out, talk to family and friends, just bring up the conversation nonchalant. Hey, did you happen to know that receipt paper is really bad for you? Try not to touch it. Anything that's been printed in thermal paper, try not to touch it. Or wear gloves, or take a picture, or whatever. Just don't try to touch it, especially before eating. Advocate to the community. Try to apply daily changes to avoid BPA and BPS as much as possible. And then us as public health students, we can make a difference. We can speak to the community. We can, if you get to the level of helping and policy making, this is definitely an issue that I think as public health students we should work on, trying to figure out a way how, technology is advancing so fast. There has to be a way where everything can just be electronic, like nothing is printed in thermal paper, like boarding passes. When you're flying, you can just have it on your phone, show the flight attendant, boop, and you're in. Try to avoid thermal receipts or tickets as much as possible. So those are the things that you can do to take action. So I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation, and it's a very interesting topic. There's a lot of potential future research that we can all do, especially if you want to be part of the whole policy making process. This is definitely a great topic to aim for, and I also included my references. So thank you so much for your time. You guys have a wonderful evening, day, weekend. And my name is Emily Mora, and I hope you enjoy my presentation. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.